The Arsenal Football Club, one of the most iconic institutions in world football, is going through a period of uncertainty and frustration that has dragged on for more than a season. Founded in 1886, the club established itself as one of the pillars of English football, accumulating a rich history of achievements and a legacy that includes some of the greatest names in the sport. However, after a series of seasons that have fallen short of expectations, Arsenal seems to be losing its competitive identity. Without winning any titles since the FA Community Shield in 2023, the London club reaches the end of yet another season, without trophies, fueling a climate of dissatisfaction among fans and former players. This absence of trophies is not just a reflection of unsatisfactory sporting performance. Rather, it is a sign that the team is struggling to remain competitive in an increasingly challenging landscape. The hopes of the supporters, who have always fervently backed the team, have been constantly frustrated as Arsenal fails to meet the high expectations demanded by its rich history. The pressure on the team and the club's management is mounting, and critical voices are intensifying. In this context, Thierry Henry, the greatest idol in Arsenal's history, did not hesitate to criticize the current situation and the management of Mikel Arteta, the coach who took charge of the team in 2019. Henry, who experienced glorious moments at the club, now watches with concern the slow development of Arteta's project, which, despite showing some promise, has yet to deliver the expected results. The former player, who became a legend with his memorable goals and performances, is a powerful voice in the football community, and his criticism resonates among fans who long for a return to winning ways. The tension between expectation and reality is palpable, and each year without titles seems to heighten the urgency for a significant change in the club's approach. The frustration of Henry and many other former players and supporters reflects a collective desire to see Arsenal not just compete, but also win, reclaiming its rightful place among the giants of football. In an interview with the podcast Stick to Football, Thierry Henry expressed his deep concern over Arsenal's lack of achievements and the urgent need for a decisive centre-forward in the squad, a deficiency that has become increasingly evident over the past few seasons. For Henry, the absence of a reference striker has been one of the main obstacles for the club to return to the path of victories. The Frenchman, who made history by scoring 228 goals for Arsenal, not only lived and breathed the essence of the club, but also intimately understands the demands that come with wearing the Gunners' shirt. His words carry the weight of experience and the frustration of a fan who does not see his team fighting for major trophies. He emphasized that the adaptation time for Arteta can no longer be used as a justification for the scarcity of titles. We have given the coach the necessary time to implement his system, but in the last 3 seasons, Arsenal has come close and needed to, at the very least, compete in a final, Henry stated, highlighting the pressure that weighs upon the coach. Henry's criticism is not a baseless attack, but rather a reasoned analysis of the club's recent trajectory, which, despite showing flashes of quality and potential under Arteta's leadership, has yet to translate those promises into trophies. 4. Henry, Arsenal should be a club that always competes for titles, given its rich history and tradition in football. He noted that while other teams, such as Manchester United, have managed to win trophies even during periods of transition and crisis, Arsenal has failed to take that crucial step. The growing dissatisfaction among supporters and the need for visible results become even more urgent as the years pass without celebrations. The lack of a decisive centre-forward, according to Henry, is not just a tactical issue but also a reflection of the club's ambition to rise again and reclaim its prominent position in the landscape of English and European football. Henry's analysis echoes the sentiments of thousands of fans who, day after day, eagerly await changes that could bring back glory to the club they love so dearly. His criticism is, therefore, a call to action, not only for Mikel Arteta, but for the entire structure of Arsenal, which urgently needs to align its vision with the ambition of a club that has long been synonymous with success in world football. Since Arteta took charge of the team, his only significant achievement has been the FA Cup in his first season. Since then, Arsenal has failed to reach a final in major competitions, generating a sense of frustration among supporters. Henry pointed out that, in comparison to rivals like Manchester United, who have managed to win titles even while facing crises, Arsenal seems to have lost its ability to compete at a high level. They won, even with problems, the former striker noted, reinforcing the need for tangible results for the club. Another central point in Henry's analysis is the lack of a classic number 9 in the squad. Currently, Kai Havertz has been used in that position, but his more hybrid characteristics do not meet the demands of a traditional centre-forward. At times, even midfielder Mikel Arteta has been improvised as a striker, highlighting the lack of concrete options for the position. "Everyone is asking for a number 9, Henry asserted, emphasizing that the arrival of Sterling does not replace the need for a natural goal scorer. He has had time for that and still hasn't brought in that player, he criticized, making it clear that the responsibility to strengthen the team falls on the shoulders of Arteta and the board. The demand for a new striker reflects not only the technical deficiencies of the team, but also the urgency to meet the expectations of supporters who wish to see Arsenal competitive again on all fronts. The club's history is marked by achievements and a vibrant style of play, and fans yearn for a return to that era of glory. The clamour for a number 9 is a reflection of the desire for significant change that could reverse the current trajectory. As the new season approaches, Arsenal's board is already active in the transfer market, seeking solutions to strengthen the squad. The most talked about name so far is Viktor Gyökeres, a standout from Sporting who has caught the attention of the club's scouts. In addition, Benjamin Sesko and Alexander Isak are also being analysed as viable options to fill the gap left by the lack of a decisive centre-forward. The arrival of a new striker could not only increase the team's effectiveness in attack, but also bring a renewed energy to the club's environment, which has been suffering from a lack of victories. Meanwhile, the pressure on Mikel Arteta is only expected to intensify. The question many are asking is he still the right person to lead Arsenal? The coach, who began his tenure with promising signs, now faces a monumental challenge. The need for tangible results and the demand for more efficient football may determine his future at the club. The supporters who have always backed the team are beginning to question whether Arteta's philosophy is capable of leading Arsenal back to the path of victories. In this context of criticism and demand, Thierry Henry stands as an influential and respected voice, reminding everyone that Arsenal is a club that must fight for titles and cannot settle for less. The pressure to implement changes is palpable, and the expectations surrounding the club's next steps are high. The upcoming season will be decisive for Mikel Arteta, the players, and above all the supporters who dream of seeing Arsenal once again at the top of English and European football. In summary, Thierry Henry's criticism is not just a reflection on the present, but a fervent appeal for Arsenal to reclaim its identity as one of the great clubs in world football. The legacy of Arsenal is built upon a rich tapestry of successes, which includes not only trophies but also a distinctive style of play and a philosophy that has always prioritized excellence. However, the current reality is at odds with this. Heritage, the search for a new number 9 is an essential first step for the team to finally return to competing for the honors that its grand history demands. The deficiency in the centre-forward position has been one of the critical points limiting Arsenal's potential. A goal scored by a quality striker can change the outcome of a game, and the absence of such a player has direct results on the team's ability to compete at a high level. Henry knows this, as he lived through moments when the presence of a natural goal scorer made all the difference, leading the club to memorable achievements. Therefore, the need for a new striker is not merely a question of reinforcements, but a fundamental step to restore the confidence and ambition that have always been hallmarks of Arsenal. The passionate and loyal fan base hopes that the board will heed these appeals and take concrete steps to correct the team's course. The stands of the Emirates Stadium, which once vibrated with titles and great performances, long for a return to the days of glory. The expectation is that the club's leaders will not only understand the urgency of this situation, but also act swiftly to implement the necessary changes. Moreover, the pressure for a reformulation is not limited to just signing a new number 9. Arsenal needs a clear strategy that includes improvements in all areas of the club, from talent identification to forming a cohesive team capable of competing on all fronts. The fans want to see a long-term project that not only brings immediate results, but also establishes the foundations for a bright future. Thus, Henry's appeal resonates not just as a critique, but also as a call to action for everyone involved with Arsenal. The community of supporters, players, and former players clamors for a renewed commitment to excellence, fervently wishing that soon Arsenal can once again celebrate great victories, rewriting its history and reaffirming its place among the giants. of football. It is believed that with the right changes and the necessary determination, Arsenal can rise again and become a club that inspires respect and admiration for its rich tradition and achievements.